It's a strange kind of ache, not quite pain, but not peace either. A quiet exhaustion that lingers even after rest. A feeling like you're carrying something, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You look around at your life, and everything seems in place. The job, the relationships, the routine. On paper, it all makes sense, but inside, it's like someone rewrote your internal compass and forgot to tell you. You no longer know what you're reaching for. You're not even sure you're supposed to know, so you drift. You show up, you smile, you say, "I'm just tired." But deep down, you know it's something more. Not depression, not failure, something else. You feel lost. But what if being lost isn't what you think it is? What if it's not a dead end, but a signal? Not a collapse, but a calling? Most people never pause here. The moment that internal fog rolls in, they panic. They turn up the noise, fill the calendar, distract, escape, numb. Anything to avoid this stillness. Because this space, this ache, this nowhere is uncomfortable. But it's also sacred. You, on the other hand, are still here. That matters. It means you're not running. It means something in you is ready. Ready to ask different questions. Ready to dismantle what you thought was you and uncover the self beneath it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "At some point, you have to stop, before your body does." This might be your stopping point, not because you're too weak to go on, but because you're strong enough not to keep pretending. So before we move forward, take this in. You are not alone in what you're feeling. You are not broken for asking deeper questions. You are not behind. You are in transition. And that isn't the end of the path, is the path. You're not lost. You're on the edge of finding out who you were always meant to be. Most people turn back, but you're still here, and that's where your becoming begins. Feeling lost is uncomfortable because it strips away certainty. It's not chaos on the outside, it's confusion on the inside. You wake up and realize the life you built no longer feels like it belongs to you. But here's the truth. That sensation of being lost. It's not a problem to fix. It's a message, a signal from your soul. And that something might be an old identity, an outdated definition of success, a belief system that once kept you safe, but now keeps you stuck. Feeling lost simply means this: you've outgrown the life you were living. The Stoics understood this well. Their goal wasn't achievement, applause, or perfection, it was alignment. To live in accordance with virtue, to match outer action with inner truth. Seneca wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." And what greater adversity is there than letting go of who we thought we were to discover who we really are? Think of it like standing in fog before sunrise. Nothing around you is clear, but that doesn't mean the light isn't coming. It just hasn't arrived yet. Or imagine a cliffside slowly eroding at its base. At first glance, it looks like destruction. But beneath the breaking is an invitation for new life to grow where stone once stood. That's what this moment is. Not dissolution, but space being made. The erosion of roles you never truly needed. It's why the ache of feeling lost can be sacred, because it creates just enough discomfort to push you inward. To your values, your integrity, your deeper knowing. Being lost is your soul tapping you on the shoulder and asking, are you still choosing this because it's true or because it's familiar? This isn't a signal to rush for answers. It's a call to realign. You're not falling apart, you're falling inward. And one day soon, when clarity returns, you'll see this season not as the time you lost your way, but as the time you finally started to walk your way. When the inner fog rolls in, most people panic. They tighten their grip on routine. They overwork, overschedule, overthink, and underneath it all, they're quietly hoping the noise will drown out the discomfort. Because that's what we're taught if you're feeling off. Just do more. Stay busy, push harder. Don't stop long enough to feel it. But the Stoic does something radically different. They pause, they breathe, they reflect. They don't rush to escape the discomfort. They turn inward and ask, what is this trying to show me? Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, commander of armies, leader of millions, wrote privately to himself, almost daily. He didn't write for fame. He didn't write to be right. He wrote to stay anchored, to examine his desires, his reactions, his integrity. He once wrote, don't waste the rest of your time here worrying about what others think. It will keep you from doing anything useful. That wasn't a branding quote. It was a reminder to himself, written in silence during stress, doubt, grief. While most crowned rulers sought comfort and power, Marcus returned to paper. Not to escape his mind, but to meet it. This is the Stoic path. And you don't need a journal of marble pages to walk it. You only need a chance to pause and the courage to be honest. Instead of asking, how can I make this stop? Ask, what? Part of me is ready to be seen. Instead of asking, what should I fix? Ask, what haven't I wanted to feel? Create 5 minutes a day, just 5-2, return to yourself, no distractions. No advice, no audience. Just a question, a pen, and your truth. While most people repress their pain with productivity, the Stoic transforms it with reflection. And that's the difference between staying lost and using the fog to find your way home. There's a strange moment in every transformation where life keeps moving, but you don't feel like the same person living it. The role you used to pour yourself into, the achiever, the caretaker, the strong one knit, still exists, but something in you no longer fits inside it. You go to the same job, greet the same people, speak the same words, but they echo differently now. You're not doing anything wrong, and yet everything feels hollow. This is the beginning of drifting from an old identity, and it's one of the first signs that you're becoming. Most of us build our lives around who we had to be, for approval, for survival, for belonging. We wear those identities like armor, but all armor eventually gets heavy, and awakening begins the moment that weight becomes undeniable. You start to question, why does this feel so exhausting? Why am I no longer excited by what used to fulfill me? Why do I sense there's more, even if I can't explain it yet? These aren't signs of failure, they're signals of expansion. Stoics knew that living according to false identity was a quiet form of death. They urged alignment with virtue, not role, not reputation, not expectation. Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Not what others want you to be, but what deep beneath the noise already are. Your discomfort isn't immaturity, it's evolution. Sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is admit that the container you outgrew once saved you, but now it's time to step out of it. Prompt, what part of my identity feels outdated? Who did I become to be accepted? What do I continue doing just because I always have? Where am I no longer energized but just performing? You're not lost, you're just no longer pretending. And that's the first step toward becoming who you were always meant to be. You can feel it, can't you? That quiet pull toward something you can't explain. Not a destination on a map or a job title, or a perfect lifestyle, but something deeper. You're not where you used to be, but you're not yet where you're going either. You're in the in-between, and it's maddening, because part of you wants to keep moving forward, while another part is terrified to leave what's familiar. Most people try to kill this longing. They dismiss it as a phase. They return to what's predictable. They fill the space with noise, strategy, or cynicism. But you've noticed it's not going away. That ache you feel, that low, steady hum in your soul, that something else exists for you. It's not delusion, it's invitation. It's purpose that hasn't revealed its name yet. Seneca once wrote, if one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. But here's the truth most forget. Even without a destination, a ship can still explore. Even in the absence of a map, you can still move with intention. This longing doesn't mean you're broken. It means your intuition is waking up. The old life can no longer carry you, but the new one hasn't fully arrived. And so, the space in between becomes your proving ground, an initiation into trust, not just of life, but of the voice within you that whispers, there's more for you, keep going. You don't need all the answers. You just need enough honesty to admit you're not satisfied being asleep anymore. Prompt, sit in stillness for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what am I longing for beneath the surface? Then don't force an answer. Let it rise. Your intuition speaks softly, but it always speaks. You're not drifting aimlessly. You're being called. And even if you can't name what you're moving toward, you can still say yes. There comes a point where life stops, making sense not because the facts have changed, but because the truth buried beneath them is rising. You find yourself suddenly crying at music that never touched you before you feel a rush of frustration in conversations you used to brush off. You're overwhelmed, on edge, uncertain, yet aware, and no matter how many lists you make, how much logic you apply, how many pep talks you give yourself, it just doesn't land. That's because what you're feeling is no longer something you can reason your way out of. It's not a mood swing, it's wisdom surfacing. The mind tries to keep you safe by making sense of things, but the heart speaks in waves, not words. Most people spend their lives suppressing emotion, afraid of what feeling too much might mean. They numb it, minimize it, avoid it. But the Stoic doesn't run from emotion. The Stoic watches it. Marcus Aurelius didn't pretend to be fearless. He practiced observing his fear, writing through his grief, reflecting on his anger. Stoicism isn't emotional repression, it's emotional awareness with discipline. It says, your emotions are messengers. Your job is not to silence them, but to understand what they're trying to tell you. That anxiety may be highlighting where you've been out of alignment. That sadness may be mourning a version of yourself you've quietly outgrown. That frustration may be the catalyst for a long overdue boundary. Prompt: ask yourself, what am I feeling deeper than I expected? Then ask, what might that feeling be trying to reveal beneath my story of it? Emotions are confrontational, but they are also clarifying. They show you where you've been lying, to yourself where you've stayed too long. What truly matters beneath performance, plans, and pride. This overwhelm you feel, it isn't weakness, it's truth with the volume turned up, and if you can learn to listen to it instead of trying to silence it, you'll find that the wisdom you've been searching for has been rising through your own body all along. Sometimes it feels like you're slipping through your own fingers, your motivation fades, your routines stop working, your sense of self, the one you've clung to for years, starts crumbling. You think, I'm losing myself. But look closer. What feels like being lost is often just the process of letting go. Of layers, roles, narratives, masks, structures that once kept you safe but now keep you small. You're not unraveling, you're unbinding. There's a reason it doesn't feel clean. Letting go rarely does. Because when you release something deeply woven into your identity, you feel like you're floating without reference. But what you're letting go of isn't your essence, the armor you built around it. Imagine a snake shedding its skin. In that stage, it looks vulnerable, raw, even uncomfortable. But it's not dying, it's growing. It's shedding what's been. Outgrown? Or visualize an iceberg. What you once showed the world was just the surface, but now the sun hits it, it starts to melt, not because it's disappearing, but because a deeper self buried for years is finally ready to be seen. Think of someone who always played the fixer. They made everyone else feel safe, reliable, calm. But underneath, they were exhausted, a reservoir running dry. One day, they stopped rushing in. They stopped performing over their pain. To others, it looks like they've changed too. Themselves, it feels like a loss. But in truth, it's not the self that's dying, it's the performance. Reflection prompt: what part of me feels lost right now? And what part of me might finally be letting go? Do this gently, don't force it. Let the truth rise like smoke. You are not vanishing, are being revealed. And the version of you that's surfacing beneath the noise, beneath the layers, that's not who you're becoming. That's who you've been all along. You're not lost, you're remembering, feeling. Lost isn't the problem, staying disconnected is in the absence of clear direction. You don't need more productivity. You don't need to fix yourself. You need to return to yourself. And to do that, you need practice. Not the kind that impresses anyone, the kind that anchors you. Here are 3 simple Stoic-inspired rituals to help you reconnect with your values, your voice, and your becoming. Evening embers end your day, not with a scroll but with a candle and a page. Light something small, sit in stillness, and ask yourself, what truth tried to surface in me? Today, was there a moment of hesitation when you ignored your gut? A conversation where you felt subtly out of alignment? A quiet urge you buried? Let it rise, no filters, no judgment. Journaling is more than reflection, it's reclamation. Just like Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, not to explain the world, but to make sense of who he was within it. Clarity walk outside, no headphones, no podcasts, no distractions. Walk at your own pace and let your mind wander. Eventually, a phrase or thought will start to echo. It might be uninvited, It might be subtle, but listen. This is your unconscious mind trying to speak your truth. The Stoics often returned to nature not to escape life, but to quiet the noise enough to hear it. Daily alignment filter throughout the day. Ask, does this thought, decision, or task reflect the person I want to become? Whether it's replying to a message, choosing your tone, or deciding how to spend an hour pause. Align, most people react unconsciously. The Stoic responds intentionally. Every ordinary moment becomes spiritual training when you use your values as your compass. You're not as far from yourself as you think. You just need a rhythm that leads you back to your center. Slowly, gently, consistently, because clarity isn't always found by thinking harder. Sometimes it's revealed by listening deeper. It's tempting to look back at closed chapters and call them wasted time. To see your detours as distractions, your pauses as proof you weren't strong enough to keep going. But what if all of it, every delay, every dead end, every lost season, wasn't a detour, but direction? You didn't fall off the path, you just took the long way, because that's the road where you're becoming lived. The truth is, growth rarely moves in a straight line, and transformation almost never follows your plan. You paused, not because you failed, but because something inside you knew you couldn't carry the old version of yourself any further. That relationship that unraveled, it taught you boundaries. That job you outgrew, it revealed your values. That silence you sat in, it spoke volumes about your strength, your depth, your readiness. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." You weren't off course, you were gathering the tools. Learning the language, becoming the person who could actually live the life you now feel called to. It doesn't matter how long it took, or how many times you began again. What matters is that you can hear it now, the voice you silenced for years, finally rising again. Direction isn't always found at the start of the trail. Sometimes it meets you in the overgrowth, where you thought you were lost. So let go of the guilt, let go of the shame, let go of the myth that the real you existed in some perfect version of the past. You were never off path. You were being realigned, refined, reawakened. This version of you, the one who sees clearly, feels deeply, moves with caution and courage, this is the version that was always meant to rise, and you didn't miss the moment. You are the moment. Now, it's time to live like it. If you've made it this far, then you already know you were never truly lost. You were being called not to find something outside you, but to return to what's always lived within your voice, your vision, your truth. Most people avoid this space, the fog, the questions, the ache. They distract, numb, perform, but you stayed, you listened, and that's what makes you different. That's what makes you ready. You've learned to see the signs that drifting from your old identity isn't failure. It's the first spark of your unfolding, that longing for something unnamed is the soul whispering, this isn't all. That your emotions aren't noise, there messengers. That what looked like collapse was only the shell crumbling, so you could finally step out whole. You've learned how to steady yourself in the unknown, with reflection, with presence, with practice. You've moved from panic to presence, from confusion to clarity, from hiding to becoming . And now it's time to own it. To name this season for what it truly is, initiation. Comment below. I'm not lost, I'm becoming. Let that be your anchor. Let those words meet someone else exactly where they are. Share your story, something you've outgrown, something you're discovering, a sentence that's carrying you right now. We grow in honesty, we heal in reflection, we awaken in community. And when someone stumbles across your comment at 2 a.m., they might realize they're not alone either, are becoming. If this message touched something real in you, subscribe, not for content, but for connection, for clarity, for the reminders your heart already knows, but sometimes forgets. Because this wasn't just a video, it was a mirror. And what you saw in it, that wasn't a better version of you. That was you, finally looking back. Finally ready. You're not lost, you're becoming who you were always meant to be, and that changes everything.